This call is now being recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we will take up the third module, which is titled Pearls to Pick. As the title indicates, it gives you some valuable insights into life. This module is based on inspiration and motivation, which is something that every youth today requires, especially in the light of this pandemic that we live in. Everybody needs motivation. Everybody needs inspiration. And that is what this module promises us to give. And that is what we expect from every activity in the module. The Cortex 2 is also an inspirational poem. And even this title page, you will find an inspirational quote which says, I can and I will. So this is what, these are the lines which should inspire us every morning when we get up. That I'll be able to achieve what I have to achieve. I can do this. And then every pessimism that we have will go away and we will become optimistic. So that is the message of this module. And for that, we have a lot of inspirational characters which are introduced to us, many of whom are very famous personalities who you will identify very easily. So that with that activity, we begin this module. So there are some descriptions of the personalities here, and there are some photographs of these personalities. Okay, so you have to identify who are these personalities by reading their description. So the photographs are here, and their descriptions are here. So that is the beginning activity. It is called Get Set Go. It is a lead in activity. Short descriptions of some famous personalities are given below. Read these descriptions and write down the names of these personalities against their descriptions. This Nobel Prize winner was a slow learner at school. Some of his teachers thought he was mentally challenged. He did not talk till he was 3 and could not read till he was 8. But his natural aptitude and genuine interest in science led him to great scientific inventions. Who is this person? A Nobel Prize winner, but he was considered to be not so intelligent in school. Who is this great personality? Okay, Newton was also one such person, but here we don't have his photograph. Here we have only these 6 people's photograph. So you have to choose from these people. Yes, it is Albert Einstein. And there is a story that, no, it's not a story, it's an incident that the teacher had sent a letter to his mother, Albert Einstein's mother, that your child is not studying properly and you should take him off from school. And she decided that Einstein could be taught from home. And then he became such a great scientist. So it does not mean that even if you are not like the others who are with you, you may be different from others, but you can become successful in life. So that is what we understand from the lives of such great people. That is one example of a scientist. Another example is from the field of sports. During childhood, this African American athlete had attacks of polio, scarlet fever, and pneumonia. Even if you have one disease, you start crying. But this girl, she had three different diseases, all serious ones. All are serious diseases. Polio is a serious disease, scarlet fever is a serious disease, and pneumonia is another serious disease. You know, many people are dying nowadays due to pneumonia contracted during COVID. So all these three serious diseases she had in her childhood, yet she became successful in life. Till the age of 12, she walked with leg braces. Leg braces means support for the legs. നടക്കാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുള്ളപ്പോൾ ഫിസിക്കലി ഹാൻഡിക്യാപ്ഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആൾക്കാർ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന സപ്പോർട്ട് സിസ്റ്റംസ് ആണ് ബ്രേസസ്. So she walked with these leg braces, but her hard work and determination. She was determined to become successful in life. So her hard work and determination helped her to rise up from her disability. And she won 3 gold medals in the 1960 Summer Olympics. You know how difficult it is to get even a single medal in the Olympics. We are such a big country. We still have got only one medal in the Olympics so far. So, and that too a silver medal. And look at this girl, she won 3 gold medals in a single Olympics. And that too after fighting a lot of disabilities. Okay, so we have to identify who this person is. I don't know. She is a lady, a woman. Okay, I'll give you the answer. It is Wilma Rudolph. She is the person who became successful in the field of sports. Now we have somebody from the field of movies. This tall, handsome actor faced a disastrous economic crisis in the year 2000. There were no new films, and several cases were filed against him. Today, he is one of the most sought-after actors in the Bollywood. He could accomplish this because he refused to give up in spite of his misfortunes and demotivating criticisms. Who is this artist? Who is this actor? Waiting for your responses. ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് ക്ലിയർ അല്ലേ? കേൾക്കുന്നില്ലേ? Are you able to hear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. എല്ലാവരും ഉറക്കമായി? ഉച്ചയായപ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് ക്ഷീണമായ? 4th hour ആയപ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് ടയർഡായ?
നോ സാർ, എനിക്ക് ഇത്ര നേരം കേട്ടിരുന്നില്ല, കട്ടായിട്ടാ കേട്ടിരുന്നേ. റേഞ്ച് ഇഷ്യൂസ് ഉള്ളതുകൊണ്ടാന്ന് തോന്നുന്നത്. ഇപ്പൊ ഞാൻ മാറി വന്നപ്പോഴാണ് ഒന്ന് ശരിയായത്.
ഓക്കെ. അപ്പൊ ടോൾ ഹാൻസം ആക്ടറുടെ പേരെന്താണ്? Yes, Shima, it is Amitabh Bachchan. Wonderful. So he is also known as Big B in Bollywood. He is the superstar for many generations. So even our grandfathers have him as their you know, great actor. So he has been in the field of films, shining in the field of films for the past several decades now. So he also had many difficult times. Yet he fought out all these problems and became successful. This iconic figure had a lot of initial setbacks. At the age of 22, he experienced bankruptcy. What is bankruptcy? Bankruptcy means financial ruin. അതിനാണ് bankruptcy എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Okay. Financial ruin. Bankruptcy means financial ruin, means completely destroyed financially. That is called bankruptcy. പാപ്പരായി മാറുക. So this man, he at the very young age of 22, he became bankrupt. But his perseverance means hardworking, hard work. So that is perseverance. So because of his hard work and willpower, he enabled him to take bigger risks and create characters like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. നിങ്ങൾക്കൊന്നും അത്ര പരിചയമൊന്നുമില്ലായിരിക്കും, പക്ഷേ ഞങ്ങളുടെയൊക്കെ കുട്ടിക്കാലത്ത് ഏറ്റവും വലിയ കാർട്ടൂൺ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മിക്കി മൗസും ഡൊണാൾഡ് ഡക്കും ഒക്കെയാണ്. ഇന്ന് വേറെ കുറേ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്, ആംഗ്രി ബേർഡ്സും ചോട്ടാ ഭീമും ഒക്കെ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മിക്കി മൗസിനെയും ഡൊണാൾഡ് ഡക്കിനെയൊന്നും ചിലപ്പോൾ അറിയുണ്ടാവില്ല. അപ്പോൾ ഈ മിക്കി മൗസിനെയും ഡൊണാൾഡ് ഡക്കിനെയൊക്കെ ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്തത് was this person. Who is that?
Walt Disney.
Exactly, it is Walt Disney. That is right, and Ria and Shima. That is Walt Disney. If you go to the US, you can see a whole area which contains his characters. With Disney World എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു സ്ഥലമുണ്ട്. So if you browse the web, you can see pictures and videos of that place. It is actually a magical world, Disney World. So it is created by Walt Disney. So the next person must be very familiar to you. The All India Radio rejected the application of this versatile playback singer because he failed at the voice test. Versatile means having many abilities. Having many abilities is called a person who has many abilities is called a versatile person. So he was rejected by the All India Radio. But this remarkable singer accomplished great success with tireless work and clever use of his stimulating voice. Who is this great singer? Yes, Jofi, it is, yes, Sri Lakshmi, Shima, so many people have responded. It is KJ Yesudas, Ganagandharvan എന്നറിയപ്പെടുന്ന പ്രശസ്തനായ നമ്മുടെ it is said that his, yes, Afna. So it is said that Keralites recognize the voice of Yesudas much better than their own voice. So it is so much popular. He is such a, for many decades he ruled the playback field. Nobody else could come anywhere near him. He has sung lakhs of songs for the movies. And suppose he was selected by the All India Radio, he would have retired as an A-grade artist from All India Radio. ആകാശവാണി അദ്ദേഹത്തെ റിജക്റ്റ് ചെയ്തില്ലായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ അദ്ദേഹം അവിടെ ആകാശവാണി ആർട്ടിസ്റ്റായിട്ട് റിട്ടയർ ചെയ്തേനെ, അധികം ആരും അറിയപ്പെടാതെ പോയേനെ. So only because he became a failure somewhere that he became successful later in life. So just because you fail somewhere, it does not mean that that is the end of your life. So that is why in English we say that failure is the stepping stone to success. So that is how he became successful. So that is the from the field of music, the field of singing. So in every field you can find such successful people. You can find men, you can find women, you can find scientists, you can find sports people, you can find politicians, you can find businessmen. Okay, the next person, this man never procrastinated. What is procrastinate? Procrastinate means to postpone. So he had this quality of not postponing things for tomorrow. Everything that he has to do, he will do immediately. So he never procrastinated. He started new ventures when the previous projects failed. His ability to remain focused and never lose hope helped him to achieve success. Today, he is one of the richest men of the world. Who is this person? Yes, it is Bill Gates. He is the person who is the founder of the Microsoft, which is a big IT company which produces the operating system Windows, which is the largest used operating system around the world. And he was not very well educated. He educated himself. He was a school dropout. Bill Gates. So it is not important whether you have great academic degrees or you studied in a very big university and all. It is not important. How you have decided to become successful? Have you decided to become successful? Do you have that determination? Do you have that willpower to become successful? That decides whether you will become successful in life. So you have a person who has no education at all. He became, and he is educating the world today. Today, every student is using Microsoft Office, MS Word, everything. Whatever you use, Windows operating system. How do you use it? Because he produced it. Bill Gates produced it, and he is a very rich man today. So we understand there are many more people who are to come. So when you look at these people, you find that there are some qualities in these personalities. Okay, every person, every great personality we see, they will have some qualities. So one of their qualities will be highlighted there, but they have many other qualities also. For example, you have this great lady who is a philanthropist. Okay, philo means to love. Okay, anthro means human beings. So philanthropist means somebody who loves to help human beings is called a philanthropist. മറ്റുള്ളവരെ സഹായിക്കുന്നയാളാണ് philanthropist. So who is this great philanthropist? A lady who came to India from another country. She came from Albania and she chose to make India into her homeland. She took care of the lepers in the streets of Calcutta, and she established the famous missionaries of charity. And she was not an Indian, but she was awarded the highest civilian honor of India, the Bharat Ratna. Who is this great lady? Yes, it is Mother Teresa. She has recently been canonized as a saint by the church. Thank you for that response. See, we have people from different fields here. We have the former vice president who is described as a far-sighted person, Dr. Abdul Kalam. If you look at his autobiography, if you look at the books that he has written, Wings of Fire, if you read Wings of Fire, you will understand how much difficulties he had suffered in his childhood. He was not born in a very rich family. He was born in a family of fishermen. He was not born in a city. He was born in a village in Rameshwaram. And he became successful. How did he become successful? He became successful because of his vision, because of his dream. If you read his books, you will repeatedly see that he is telling us to dream. And the dream that he says is not something that we see in sleep. നമ്മളൊക്കെ dream ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്, പക്ഷെ അതൊക്കെ ഉറങ്ങുമ്പോൾ കാണുന്ന സ്വപ്നങ്ങളാണ്. But he says that by dream I do not mean what you see when you are sleeping. Dreams are not what you see when you sleep. Dreams are that which don't allow you to sleep. എന്നാണ് അബ്ദുൽ കലാം പറഞ്ഞത്. എങ്ങനെയാണ്? Dreams are not what you see when you sleep, but dreams are what? Which don't allow you to sleep. So So that is how he defined the dreams. So though definitely those are not the dreams that we see when we are sleeping. So that kind of a dream, that kind of a vision, that kind of a farsightedness, that is what made Dr. Kalam achieve uh, the great success that he achieved in life. He was the person behind the missile programs of India, and therefore he is known as the missile man of India. Though he is the former president of India, he is famous even today as the missile man of India. Then we have a great cricketer, the only sportsman who is awarded the Bharat Ratna. It is Sachin Tendulkar. He is determined. If you read his autobiography, you will understand how much difficulties he had suffered. He was born in a city, unlike Abdul Kalam. Abdul Kalam was born in a village. Sachin was born in a city in Mumbai, a very crowded city, and he had to experience all the difficulties of living in a city. Yet he became successful in a field in which there was a lot of competition in those days. When he entered the field of cricket, there was a lot of competition, but because of his hard work, he became successful. If you read his autobiography, which is titled Playing It My Way, you will encounter many events that he narrates where he had to suffer a lot when he was a student at school because his parents did not want him to abandon his studies. So he had to do well in his studies, at the same time he had to perform well in cricket. He had to start before the sun rises from home, and he came very late at night from after his classes and practice. And he had worked so hard, and therefore he became successful as a cricketer. We have a person who is a disabled person, but he is considered as the greatest scientist of the previous century after Einstein. He is considered as the greatest scientist. He died a couple of years ago. He is famous for his great book that he has written. This is the title of that book, Brief History of Time. Who is this great scientist who could not move, who could not speak, who was always confined to the wheelchair, but he was considered as the greatest genius of the previous century?
Stephen Hawking.
That is right, Anne-Maria. So it is Stephen Hawking who was the greatest scientist of the previous century, and he was a disabled person. So whether you are disabled, whether you come from a poor family, whether you come from a rich family, whether you belong to the city, whether you belong to the village, whether you are a nun, whether you are a monk, all these things do not matter if you want to become successful. If you are determined to become successful, you can become successful. That is what the lives of all these people teach us. And that is also the theme of the core text that we are going to discuss. And the core text is a poem by Edgar Allan Guest, whose picture you see here. He is also known as Eddie Guest. He was a prolific English-born American poet. That is, a person who is born in England but brought up in America. What is the meaning of prolific? Prolific means producing a lot. Okay, producing a lot is called prolific. That is, he has written a lot of writings which are read by a lot of people. So that is the meaning of prolific. So we learned two different words. Prolific means producing a lot. Versatile is another word that we learned today. Versatile means having many abilities. Okay, so prolific and versatile are sometimes even used together. That is, producing a lot is prolific, and having many abilities is versatile. So he is a prolific poet. He was born in England, but he was brought up in US, so therefore he is considered as an American poet, popularly known as the people's poet. So this poem is an inspirational poem. He has written many inspirational poems, and these poems are world renowned. What do you mean by renowned? Renowned means famous. So let us read this poem now. I request somebody to read that. Nina, please read that first stanza.
Figure it out for yourself, my lad. You have all that the greatest of men have had: 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and a brain to use if you would be wise. With this equipment, they all began. So start for the top and say, I can.
Thank you, Nina. So figure it out for yourself, my lad. The author is addressing us, the poet is addressing us, he is talking to us, he is telling us, my child, he is calling us child. We are his children. So he is telling us, figure it out. Figure it out means understand. So you understand for yourself. So he is telling us to understand something. So what should we understand? We should understand that you have that what the greatest of men have had. What the greatest of men had, all those things you have. What do we have? We have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 hands, 2 eyes, and a brain. If you would be wise. So these are the things that God has given to everyone. So this is what he calls the equipment. So this is pronounced as equipment. This is the pronunciation. Okay, this is the pronunciation. It begins with the sound E. Equipment. So what is equipment? Equipment is many devices that we use every day. They are equipment which help us to do work better. They are called equipment. Upagaranam. So what is the equipment that we have? It is this body which has been given to us. So what do we have? We have 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, brain, etc. These everybody had. So the great people that we discussed today, like Kalam or Mother Teresa or Bill Gates, all these people had the same equipment. They did not have anything more than what we had. They had the same equipment. They all began with the same equipment. See? So when they began their life, they were ordinary people like us, and they began like us, and they, with this same equipment, they achieved success. So that is why the poet says, so what are you waiting for? Start for the top and say, I can. So none of them had 3 eyes. ആർക്കും 2 കാലം കൂടുതലുണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല, 3 കാലം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 3 കൈയോ ഉള്ളവരല്ല സക്സസ്ഫുൾ ആയിരുന്നു. They also had the same number of hands and legs, the same amount of brain that we have, but they became successful. Why? Because they made proper utilization of the equipment that they had. So the poet is advising us in this last line of the first stanza. He's advising us. What is he advising us? He says, start for the top and say, I can. So begin today itself. So don't postpone for tomorrow. Start today itself and say, I can. So this is something we have to tell ourselves. not to somebody else. This is something we are telling ourselves, that I can achieve this. So that is what the poet is telling us in this very first stanza. The next stanza, he again compares these great people with us. So first he talked about the body, that their body is much similar to ours. We also have 2 hands and 2 legs. Now he is talking about their physical situation. What do we have? What do they have in their houses? How do they eat? How do they walk? What do they have? All these things he is describing in the next stanza, where he says that they were also ordinary people like us. Successful aayavurkku, they are not any extraordinary people. They are very ordinary people like us, but they became successful because of their hard work. So let us read the next stanza. I request Sarga to read that stanza. Sarga KS.
Yes, sir.
Read.
Look them over, the wise and great. They take their food from a common plate, and similar knives and forks they use, with similar laces. They tie their shoes. The world considers them brave and smart, but you have all they had when they made their start.
Thank you. So here he says, look them over. Look them over means observe. Like he said, in the beginning he said, figure it out means understand. So figure out, look over. They are all phrasal verbs. Okay. Figure out means understand. These are all phrasal verbs. Look over means observe. So look them over. Who should I observe? I should observe the wise and great people. Why should we observe them? Because when we observe them, we understand that they are also ordinary people like us. അവർക്ക് കൊമ്പൊന്നുമില്ല. They are ordinary people like us. They eat from a common plate like us. They don't eat from a gold plate. They don't live in big mansions. They lived in very common houses. Today they may have very big houses after they became successful. But you should look at when they began their lives. So that is what the last line says. When they made their start, when they began, what did they have? The same things we also have. The world considers them great and smart. They eat with common things that everybody uses. They wear common dresses, they wear common footwear, shoes, etc. But they became successful. The world considers them great. But we can also become great because we have everything that they had when they began their lives. So we think that we are not properly equipped. So we think that we are not properly equipped means prepared. Okay. So we are already well equipped. We are already well prepared by God. We have been given everything that we need to become successful. So now we understand that there is not much difference between us and these great people, because we have the same equipment that they had, and we also have the same kind of situation, that is the circumstance, sahajaryam, in which they lived, or when they began their lives. Then what is the problem? Then why are we not successful? So that is what the poet is trying to discover, or trying to tell us. So then, is it possible that we can become successful in our lives? The poet says, yes, we can. That is what he says in the next stanza. Every line says, you can. So he is telling us that we can also become successful. So that is the next stanza. Tirtha, please read that.
Look them over the wise and great. They take their food from a common plate and
Next
similar.
stanza.
Huh?
അടുത്ത stanza. Highlight ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്.
But you have all they had when they made their start.
ഓക്കെ, അടുത്ത വായിച്ചോ. കാണുന്നില്ല അത്? യു ക്യാൻ ട്രയംഫ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് കാണുന്നുണ്ട്.
കാണുന്നില്ല.
One second. Okay, now is it visible?
No, sir.
ഇപ്പോഴോ?
ഇല്ല, കാണുന്നില്ല.
ഏത് ലൈനാ കാണുന്നത് ഇപ്പോ?
Last, but you have.
But you have all they had when they made their start വരെ കാണുള്ളൂ. ഞാൻ സ്ക്രോൾ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്, പക്ഷേ maybe you have some network problem there. Okay, thank you for the reading that. സുബിത അതൊന്ന് വായിക്കാമോ? സുബിത TS.
You can thrive and come to skill. You can be great if only you will. Wear will equipment for what fight your choice. You have legs and arms and a brain to use. And the man who was raised great deeds to do began his life with no more than you.
Thank you, Subhita. So you can triumph. Triumph means succeed and come to skill. You can become skillful. You can be great only if you will. Will എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ it means you have decision, taking decision, that is will. അങ്ങനെയാണ് will power എന്ന് പറയുന്നതെന്ന് വന്നിട്ടുള്ളതാണ്. So only if you will, if you, nobody else can decide it for you. You have to decide whether you want to be great, and you are well equipped for all what fight you choose. So you don't have to wait for getting equipped for that. You are already well equipped. How am I well equipped? We have already the equipment that we need. What is the equipment that we need? Legs, hands, brain, eyes, ears, etc. All these equipment have been given to us by God already when we came into this world. So we are already well equipped. And all these great people who have risen and did great deeds, deeds means action. All these people who did great action in their life, they began their life with no more than you. So we are the same as all these great people when they began their lives. We always look at how they became successful. They are multi-millionaires. I am only a poor person. Like that we compare when after their achievement of success. We should not compare them at their end of life. We should compare ourselves with them when they began their life. So that is the advice that the poet is giving us. So he is telling us, you can also become successful. You can be great. So you look at these first 3 lines. It says, you can triumph. You can be great. You are well equipped. You have. So he is continuously emphasizing on you. That is us. He is telling us that we can become successful. We can be great. We can be a successful person, we can achieve greatness in life because we already have everything that we need to become successful. Then what is stopping us? എന്താണ് തടസ്സം? So that is the next stanza. So what is the problem? അപ്പോൾ തടസ്സം എന്താണ്? അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ പറയും അത് ഞാൻ ജനിച്ച സ്ഥലം ശരിയായില്ല. I was born in the wrong family. I came to the wrong institution. ആ നെടുപുഴയിൽ പോയി ചേർന്നതാണ് ഈ പ്രശ്നം മുഴുവൻ. അവിടുത്തെ ടീച്ചർ കൊള്ളില്ല. The principal is not good. The teachers are not good. The HOD is not good. The teacher who is teaching is not teaching properly. The person who set the exam paper is not helpful. The person who valued my answer sheets is not considerate. We are always blaming others. Isn't it? Why am I not successful? It is because of my brother or my sister who is not allowing me to study. It is because I was born in a very poor family. I was born in a very poor family. My parents are not educated. If my parents were educated, I would have become successful. See, we always blame others for our lack of success. But here, in this stanza, the poet tells us, it is not others who are the cause of our success or our failure. It is we ourselves who are the cause of our success or failure. So that is what he says in this stanza. So he says, there is no point in blaming others. Let us stop blaming others and take the responsibility for success upon ourselves. Just read that stanza. Nishita, please read that. Nishita, AN, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You are the handicap you must face. You are the one who must choose your place. You must say where you want to go, how much you will study, the truth to know. God has equipped you for life, but He lets you decide what you want to be.
Yes, thank you. So here he says in the stanza, he says, you are the handicap you must face. So it is not somebody else. You yourself are the handicap you must face. You are the one who must choose your place. You must say where you want to go, how much you will study the truth to know. God has equipped you for life, but He lets you decide what. So it is not anybody else. We are the handicap. Handicap means disability. നമ്മുടെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ തടസ്സം വേറെ ആരുമല്ല, നമ്മൾ തന്നെയാണ്. നമ്മുടെ വളർച്ചയ്ക്കുള്ള ഏറ്റവും വലിയ വിഘാതം ആയി നിൽക്കുന്നത് നമ്മൾ തന്നെയാണെന്നാണ് കവി പറയുന്നത്. So we have to decide, not somebody else. You must say where you want to go. ഓ, ഞാൻ എടുത്ത ബ്രാഞ്ച് ശരിയായില്ല. It is not the branch. It is what you do with the branch that matters. It is not whether you choose electronics or computer or civil engineering. Civil engineering കിട്ടിയിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ രക്ഷപ്പെട്ടേനെ. No. We see that people have become successful in all the different fields. You have seen we have given examples of people from different fields. Whatever field you choose, you can become successful. How can you become successful? Only when you decide to become successful. So it is not the field that is the problem. It is not the branch that is the problem. It is not the teachers who are to blame. It's not your friends who are to blame. It's not the family or the brothers or the sisters who are to blame. It is we ourselves. So the correction has to happen within ourselves. So we have to choose our place. And we have to decide how much we will study the truth to know. Because God has, and finally, when everything ends, the final blame is always given to God. എല്ലാം കഴിയുമ്പോൾ അവസാനം കുറ്റം പറയുന്നത് ദൈവത്തിനെയാണ്. So the poet also closes that possibility. He says, never blame God, because God has already given you everything that you require for life. So there is no point blaming God also. God has equipped us for life, but He lets you decide. So it is we who have to decide what you want to become. So if you are already equipped, if you have everything that we need, then why am I not becoming successful? And that is where he says that we require something which is already there, which is sleeping inside us. We have to awaken that. Only then we can become successful. We have all the equipment. We have all the circumstances are not the problem. We have already all the equipment. Then what is the problem? We have fear. We have to remove that fear. How can we remove that fear? When we bring courage from inside us. Courage, it is already inside us. If you bring that out, we can become successful. So that is what he tells us in this last stanza. Lakshmi, please read that stanza.
Courage must come from the soul within. The man must furnish the will to win. So figure it out for yourself, my lad. You were born with all that. With your they all began. Get hold of yourself and say.
Okay, thank you, Lakshmi. So he says we should have courage. Courage must come from within. Within means inside. Where do you get courage? Can you buy courage from the market? Can you get courage from the shop? Can you buy courage from Amazon or Flipkart? Yes or no?
No, sir.
No. Can somebody give you courage? Oh, courage കുറവുണ്ടല്ലേ, കുറച്ച് courage എൻ്റെ പോക്കറ്റിൽ നിന്ന് തരാം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ can somebody give us courage? Can you borrow courage from someone? No. Nobody can give you courage. Courage has to come from inside us. It is within. Within means inside. So that's why he says in the first line of the stanza, he says courage must come from the soul within. Within means inside. It is we ourselves, we have to furnish means provide. Furnish the will to win. The man must furnish the will to win. So it has to come from inside us. We have to decide it ourselves. So what is stopping us? We don't have courage. That is when fear comes in. So there is nothing called fear, like there is nothing called darkness. ഇരുട്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊന്നുമില്ല. വെളിച്ചമില്ലാതാവുമ്പോൾ സംഭവിക്കുന്ന പ്രതിഭാസമാണ് ഇരുട്ട്. So when there is light, the darkness automatically disappears. അപ്പോൾ വെളിച്ചം കൊണ്ടുവന്നിട്ട് ഇരുട്ടിനെ എടുത്ത് പുറത്തേക്ക് കളയേണ്ട ആവശ്യമൊന്നുമില്ലല്ലോ. So the lack of light is what we call darkness. There is nothing really exists there. There nothing really exists called darkness. Similarly, there is nothing called fear. When you have a lack of courage, then there is fear. So when the courage comes, fear automatically disappears. Like when darkness disappears when you light a candle. So it is this fear that is causing all the trouble because the courage is sleeping inside us. There is a very famous poem in Hindi, which is very highly inspirational. It says, "Lehron se dar kar nauka par nahi hoti." That is, if you are afraid of the waves, you will not be able to go into the ocean. You will remain at home. So the people who have achieved have worked, done something to achieve it. So let us listen to that, watch that poem being recited. One second. We have Amitabh Bachchan himself singing those lines in the poem.
कि लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। नन्ही चींटी जब दाना लेकर चलती है, चढ़ती दीवारों पर 100 बार फिसलती है। मन का विश्वास रगों में साहस भरता है, चढ़कर गिरना गिरकर चढ़ना ना अखरता है। आखिर उसकी मेहनत बेकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। डुबकियां सिंधु में गोताखोर लगाता है, डुबकियां सिंधु में गोताखोर लगाता है, जा जाकर खाली हाथ लौट कर आता है। मिलते नहीं सहज ही मोती गहरे पानी में, मिलते नहीं सहज ही मोती गहरे पानी में। मुट्ठी उसकी खाली हर बार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। और अंतिम पद है कि असफलता एक चुनौती है, इसे स्वीकार करो। असफलता एक चुनौती है, इसे स्वीकार करो। क्या कमी रह गई देखो और सुधार करो। जब तक न सफल हो नींद चैन को त्यागो तुम, जब तक न सफल हो नींद चैन को त्यागो तुम। संघर्ष का मैदान छोड़कर मत भागो तुम। कुछ किए बिना ही जय जयकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार।
So these are the lines which he was reciting. It says that if you are afraid of the waves, you will remain at home, you will not be able to go into the ocean. There is a risk that you may fall down from the ship, but without taking any risk, you cannot become successful. So you may fail, but that failure is not the end. So the last lines which he emphasized, he says, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. You may become unsuccessful once or twice or many times, but that doesn't mean that it is the end. He says failure should be considered as a challenge. So failure is not the end of your life. Failure should be considered as a challenge, and try to find out what you lack. Correct them. Whatever you lack in yourself, correct them. It may be related to some qualities that we have. See, we had many examples of the qualities that these great people had. If you can correct those qualities, you can also become successful. कुछ किए बिना ही जय जयकार नहीं होती. Without doing anything, you cannot become successful. You cannot try success without doing anything. Only by doing, but while doing, you may become unsuccessful, but that doesn't mean that you have to be disappointed. That is not a defeat. Failure is not equivalent to defeat. Failure, as I said, is the stepping stone to success. It is only human beings who are disappointed by failure. Suppose a tiger is trying to chase a deer. It chases the deer once, it does not get. What does it do? It chases the deer again. The tiger will chase the deer again. Still doesn't get. What does it do? It chases the deer for a third time. Still doesn't get the deer. Then what does it do? It chases the deer for a fourth time. How many times will the tiger chase the deer? How many times will it chase the deer? എത്ര തവണ ചേസ് ചെയ്യും? ചോദ്യം മനസ്സിലായില്ലേ? ഒരു പുലി മാനിന്റെ പുറകെ പോയി, ഒരു തവണ പുറകെ ഓടിയിട്ട് കിട്ടിയില്ല, രണ്ടാമത്തെ തവണ പുറകെ ഓടി അപ്പോഴും കിട്ടിയില്ല, മൂന്നാമത്തെ തവണ ഓടി അപ്പോഴും കിട്ടിയില്ല, നാലാമത്തെ തവണ ഓടി അപ്പോഴും കിട്ടിയില്ല. എത്ര തവണ ഓടും?
കിട്ടുന്നവരെ ട്രൈ ചെയ്യില്ലേ?
എക്സാക്ട്ലി, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് അപ് ടു ദ ടൈം യു ഗെറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്. അല്ലാതെ ഞാൻ 10 തവണ ഓടി കിട്ടിയില്ല ഇനിയും ഓടണ്ട എന്ന് വിചാരിച്ച അവിടെ മാറിയിരിക്കില്ല. If it is human beings, if you try and don't get, it is the human being who he or she commits suicide, which is actually a very foolish thing to do. Because even Einstein, he said that when he became unsuccessful in finding out a proper material for making the filament, 10,000 times he tried. We will discuss that in the next core text. And he said, I have found 10,000 ways that do not work. He didn't say that I failed 10,000 times. So every failure should be taken as a learning experience. That is what the poet is telling us. Every failure is actually teaching us that we can also become successful. We learn new things from every failure that we encounter. And that brings more courage into us so that we become successful. So he is advising us, the poet is now advising us. So there is nothing to worry. You can become successful if you decide that I will become successful, because we already are properly equipped. We have the equipment that we need, which is a body and a brain. All the organs of the body, like the hands and the legs, we have the same number of them as all the great people had. So there is no reason why any one of us cannot be successful. We can all be successful. That is what this poet is trying to tell us. So that's all for today. I think it is already time. So we will take up the next core text of the next module in the next class. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful afternoon and goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.